Hey there, Wargamers, and welcome back to another Wargames Delivered video. If you'd like to follow this video one-to-one, be sure to check out the links, supplies, and miniature listed in the description below. There should be links to everything to our website, Wargames Delivered. We also have a Refer a Friend program active at the moment, where if you enter in some information, we will give you and your friend a $10 discount. With that, let's get the video started. In this video, we will show you how to paint the German Fallschirmjäger from the game Bolt Action, using Army Painter's speed paints. Let's get started. And as you can see with the Mini, we've started it out with a zenithal highlight with an airbrush to get it started. For the speed paint process, we're going to start out with Gravelord Gray here, and with this we're going to look to cover the majority of the clothing on the model. Covering the entire coat with this color. The only thing we're really looking to avoid would be the pants and the shoes and the helmet. Those will be covering with different colors, so just go ahead and do a very thin version of this for a very light gray. And I'm not really using any speed paint medium here, actually, just using water to mix my speed paints this time. And I'm also using a different technique with the cork and the wire here, just to kind of give you a different idea on how you can work on your miniatures without them attaching them to the base. I know on the channel we've done a lot of work with our miniatures attached to the base, so I just wanted to give another example of that. And if you watch the how to build your miniature video that we've released earlier this week, that will kind of give some more context as to why this miniature is not on the base. So we're going to move into the next step here, just using matte white to clean up any areas that we were kind of a little bit splotchy with the Gravelord Gray. Some areas on the gun and the hands, and some parts of the clothing as well. When you do this step, you always want to make sure that the speed paint is dry before you go ahead and clean it up. It will kind of blend with the white if it's still a little bit wet, and kind of just smear quite a bit if you don't wait. So keep that in mind whenever you're cleaning up your speed paints. It can kind of work against you if you don't wait long enough. But moving on here, we're going to switch over to High Lord Blue for our next color on the miniature, and with this we're really just looking to pick out the pants and the helmet of the miniature. We're going to want a very thinned down version of this paint, so I'm just using a bit of water. Most of these speed paints today I'm using about a 1-to-1 ratio, just water and speed paint here, no medium on any of these, and really just looking for it to set in the recesses and pushing away any excess on the raised areas like the knee there. So go ahead and keep steady on both the legs here and the helmet with this color. And even though it's called speed paint, you can absolutely, slap it on quickly and let it dry if you want to, if you're trying to get an army done fast. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to add a little bit more finesse, this is what I like to do, and it really just makes those details pop and really just complements the speed paint. And moving on into our next step here, we'll be moving on to Crusader Skin, and I have had mixed results with this, and I may have mentioned this on the channel before, but I think I've kind of found out why. I think before it was more or less I kind of had too dark of a primed miniature to start off with, so I think I've used some dark grays or just some medium grays, and I think this color really requires you to have a very bright white prime on your model, or like a very light gray or a light beige possibly, and that seems to work the best in my experience. I've messed around with this a little bit. This is what I've found with that paint. So we'll move on into our next couple of steps, and we will show up the close-ups here after all of these steps, because they're going to be very quick and very small areas. So we'll start out with Camo Cloak here, and with this we will cover the little grenade that he has on his back pouch here, and also his canister. And again, with all of these speed paints, I'm using just a little bit of water to give it a little bit more flow and add just a touch of clinginess to the recesses. Next up, we'll switch over to Hardened Leather, and with this we will cover his entrenching tool on the side of his pouch right here, and we will also cover all of the wood on the gun with this color as well. So go ahead and make sure you hit all the angles of this. I've definitely covered some of these and realized that I missed the entire inner side of them. So make sure you really check inside of the model and make sure you get all the angles of the entrenching tool. It's one that I miss often, and I will switch over to just adding a quick layer of this onto the gun. There's a couple pieces that are going to be metallic, and we are also going to do the strap a slightly different color as well. So we'll leave those blank for now, and we will also just look out for all of the areas that we've already painted. And you could absolutely use dark wood or sand golem if you have those speed paints instead on the gun here. I just stuck with hardened leather because it's what I had on my palette at the moment. But yeah, if you want a little bit more variety on your model, especially between the two wood areas of the model here, the entrenching tool and the gun, you can absolutely go for that, or a mix between the two. That's what we're going to be going for here in this section covering up the strap of the gun here. We're going to do a mix between Crusader skin and hardened leather. Again, just had those on my palette and figured it would mix pretty well for a nice kind of leather color. So that's what we went for there. And we'll do a very quick step here with the Pallid Bone Speed Paint, switching over for just a moment to cover the canteen on his back pouch as well. And alternatively, you could use this color for the strap of the gun as well. It's really up to you. You can mix and match your speed paints, really use whatever you'd like. We're going to switch over here to a couple of our final steps here. Switching over to Grim Black for just a moment to cover the boots of the model. This is really all we're looking to cover on this color. You can go in with a smaller brush. I would recommend a smaller brush, possibly the Army Painter Starter Brush. And you can dot the eyes and the mouth with this color just to add a little bit more shadow to those areas. And we will move on into our final steps here shortly. Switching over into Army Painter's metallic line for just a moment here, we're going to switch into gunmetal. And this is a great dark gray metallic by Army Painter that works really well as a base coat for any metallic area that you have on your miniatures. And we're going to switch into dark tone as well, and this really solidifies the shadows on your metallics. These two pair really nicely together. As you can see here, I've kind of got too much in that area, so what you can do here, as I just did, just kind of wiped it off on my thumb. You can absolutely use a paper towel instead if you'd like, and just wipe away that excess wash, and it won't dry completely different than certain areas. So that's a good way to quickly avoid splotchiness with your washes. Now that those steps are finished, we're going to switch into our final step here, which is going to be using just a bit of the matte black from the regular acrylic line and adding a bit of detail on the face here. He's got a strap that's holding up his helmet, so we'll go ahead and very carefully, trying not to ruin any of the detail on the helmet or the face here, just slowly building up that strap on the face here and making sure we go underneath the chin and connect it to the other side. There shouldn't be any other details that you need to pick out with this color. If you'd like, you can go in with some metallics and cover some of the buttons on some of the back pouches that he has, but for the majority, that finishes up the model other than a quick base using the Army Painter's basing products. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy our content. And also be sure to check us out at Wargames Delivered to take part in the Refer a Friend program. Thanks again, guys. Happy wargaming.